Hello, what's up, guys? It's Will back once again for another fight card prediction. We're back for UFC Vegas 23, UFC on ABC 2, whatever you want to call it. Marvin Vettori against Kevin Holland as our main event after Darren Till had to pull out last week due to injury. And a really fun card, like a very, very good, well put together card. And a card I've really enjoyed kind of looking through some of the fights. I've got some bets on the go already. I had some like a week ago for this card. So really fun looking card. Thoroughly looking forward to kind of talking through the card with you. Just a big thank you to everybody that got me to 4,000 subs. I probably went below that now because people just unsubscribe, it seems like, but much appreciated. Another goal hit. Thank you very much. Like I say, let's see if we can kind of keep the good start with the bets going. Before we went UFC 260, wasn't the greatest night for betting one. I think my worst night of the year, actually, betting. Followed up with a kind of parlay win last week at Bellator before all the kind of big chalk hit. I kind of get in before that. But I see my boy Moise Auto in there with a nice little dono. Thank you very much. Much appreciated, Moise. Hope you're well, brother. I'm looking forward to this fight card. Just a note for you guys in the UK or Europe, whatever it may be, this fight card's going to start super early, like Saturday afternoon. I think it's 4 or 5 o'clock my time here in the UK. So wherever you are in the world, kind of just the Americans get an early fight day card, I suppose. So yeah, like I said, I think I've got 3 bets down in this card. I have 1, 2. Yeah, I've got 3, and I probably might have more because there is spots in this card I really do like a hell of a lot. I just had to see kind of where the kind of chips fall once we kind of go later on in the week. And hopefully we can keep all the 15 fights because 15 fights would be awesome for DraftKings. I want a big week on DraftKings. So, yeah, like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below with your favorite picks of the week there. So we're going to get into the fight card and get through these 15 fights. Welterweight division, we've got the return of kind of Impa Kasanganay moving down to welterweight. So I'm interested to see what that kind of looks like, flying down to that division against Sasha Palatnikov, who I was a little bit. I bet that fight with Lewis Kosey. I picked Kosey to win the fight, but actually I had the bet doesn't go to decision. I had it in a parlay, and I was like, "Oh, dude, this fight." And there was lots of like sequences in that fight where I thought the fight was going to be done, and it didn't end up being finished that way. And Palatnikov got the 3rd round TKO. I thought you kind of used the little bit more experience that you had kind of over Kosey in that spot, and the kind of eagerness of Kosey, who was just a kind of a punch bag kind of towards the end of that fight. And get hit with some big shots and get taken out. And now Kasanganay, he's moving down to this division here after that Buckley knockout. Now, I didn't think he was fighting that bad a fight against Joaquin Buckley. I thought he was in the fight. I thought he was kind of coming into the fight a little bit more. I was slightly edging Buckley across that. But I'm interested to see him moving down. Looking at the betting odds, like Palatnikov's a big, big underdog in this fight, and I'm a little bit intrigued to kind of see how that goes. I've got a funny feeling the Impa could look really dominant here or not look all that great. I'm interested to see what he looks like at the weigh-ins. Palatnikov, I don't give him a high ceiling in the UFC. I don't think he's one of these guys that will be around in a couple of years' time, but I think he might win himself an odd fight or two. He's already got one, but I'm going to lean with Kasanganay. I like his striking. I like his jab work. I think that Palatnikov will be a little bit more aggressive, but I think he could jump in here and eat some shots. But I think the bet line's a little bit off. I mean, plus 240 on Palatnikov and minus 280. I want no part of Kasanganay at minus 280. I think he should win the fight comfortably. I think he could get the Palatnikov out of there. So I'm going to go with Impa Kasanganay for the win there. Daeung Jung against William Knight is up next. Now, this was a little bit of a weird fight because I actually liked Alonzo Menifield against William Knight a couple of weeks back, and then the fight got scrapped. Sharant came in against Menifield, and then he got moved 2 weeks later to a brand new opponent in Daeung Jung, who there's some people out there thinking this guy's like the next Reckoning at 205. Not me at all. I thought he was very lucky, actually, to get a draw against Sam Alvey. didn't think he looked great at all. And when you look at his wins in the UFC, I think if you get quick finishes or you get big finishes, it really kind of plays like people really kind of run with that very, very hard. And like I said, I wasn't completely on the train of like coming off wins over Khiriev Brighamov and then Mike Rodriguez, and then you've got that fight against Sam Alvey. William Knight here, I think this is a better fight for William Knight, actually. Dang Jung, he's got more weapons, I think. Well, has he got more weapons? I don't know. I think he's got a little bit more to him. But I think someone like William Knight can slow down a fight, can use that strength, can put him against the cage. We've seen him pushed against the cage against Khiriev Brighamov when he was throwing that 106 punch combination and completely gassed himself out. So we've seen that he can be placed against the cage and can be kept there. I think in open space, I think he'll use his reach a little bit more and try and kind of have varying strikes there. I don't think he'll take someone like a William Knight down. I think if anyone's going to get a garner a takedown in this fight, it's going to come from the William Knight side. But I've got a funny feeling, like I said with the Menefield fight, that I think his path to victory is going to be clinching up, being strong in that clinch, push him against the cage, kind of fight ugly, maybe get a takedown here or there. So I think if he's in open space, I think he could get hit up a little bit. It's not one I've looked into all that much. I watched the 3 fights of Alvey in the UFC, Dang Jung in the UFC, and then I've watched a couple of fights of William Knight coming through the Contender Series, obviously, and then his UFC debut against Aliaskhab. And I kind of just feel like I'd rather be on the William Knight side here. So William Knight, go and do it for the big Willies out there and see if you can get a win for the Williams. But the pick is going to be a decision win for William Knight in that one there. Luis Saldana against Jordan Griffin. This is another one I'm a little bit not too sure about because I'm still not sure about these Contender Series guys coming into the UFC. I think that some obviously look very good and some I think can go on to look kind of good. And Saldana is one of these guys that I think can go on to look good. I went back and watched some of his losses. I mean, it's not a great look getting kind of knocked out by Mike Santiago in that spot. Now, that was 5 years ago, so you expect the kid to be making big jumps in his game. And I was reading up in some interviews and watching some interviews, I should be saying, and he's been at Fight Ready and he's been doing a little bit of work predominantly on his wrestling with Henry Cejudo, who looks like he's going to turn into a great MMA coach if he ever decides to go down that route. And he's been really getting himself better in that spot, and he's striking it. I think he's pretty low volume, but when he throws, I think that he's got some venom there. He can hurt some guys out. Very, very dangerous. He's got a bit of a submission game to him, and then you saw that front kick and his win over Vince Murdoch on the Dana White Contender Series automatically got himself a shot in the UFC. Now, Jordan Griffin's a guy that I've never been super high on, but I think he could potentially get takedowns here, but his gas tank, it scares me big time. But he can get takedowns. He can get into good spots. You've seen that in the Zalal fight. Now, I think Zalal sometimes he kind of gives his opponents a little bit too many opportunities to maybe get takedowns or kind of grapple up a little bit, and Jordan Griffin kind of took and run with that a little bit. But like I say, Griffin's a tough out, especially for a guy coming off the Contender Series. Not the easiest look. Feel I should kind of roll with the dog here on Jordan Griffin, but I'm interested to see more of some of these Dana White Contender Series guys. We've got Bahamondes coming up in this card, who I think looks really good as well. So I'm going to lean Luis Saldana. I think the opening kind of 7 minutes of the fight will be relatively close, but I can see him possibly coming on stronger towards the end of the fight there. So I'm going to pick Luis Saldana to win that one there. This is one of the fights I am really looking forward to. Hunter Azure against Jack Shore. This was the very first fight I watched for this card. I'm super familiar with Jack Shore, obviously. I pretty much watched his entire career coming through Cage Warriors. He's a guy I actually watched in the amateurs in Las Vegas when I was out there for Fight Week. He was over there 2015, 2016, whenever that was. And I've got very high hopes for him in the UFC. I think he's got the opportunity to be a top 10 fighter in one of the best divisions in the UFC, in my honest opinion. So I think you can see where I'm kind of leaning with this pick here. I've bet him in his 2 UFC fights against low quality opposition. We have to kind of say that in Julian Hernandez and Aaron Phillips, where he completely had a grappling advantage, used that. But there is spots that Hunter Azure could definitely take advantage of or try to take advantage of here. But I like the fight. I think it's a good step up from the 2 guys that he previously faced to a guy who's got multiple UFC wins, who comes in here with a kind of different skill set to what those guys had, maybe a different skill set to what many guys that Jack Shaw hasn't really fought before. But when I watch Jack Shaw, I really like the kid a lot. I think that I made some notes on this one. I do that with a lot of fighters, and then I kind of go back and adjust from fight to fight. But a very smart, cerebral fighter who I think's really good in all aspects, but I think his grappling stands out because predominantly for most of these fights, you kind of see most of his grappling. You don't see all of his striking that all too much, but makes good decisions. That's one of the things that I asterisk. He's like, he makes good decisions in many of his grappling exchanges. On the feet, I still think he lacks a little bit. I think that's where he can make big gains, and it's going to have to make big gains in that division. You're not going to be a mediocre striker in that division and getting to the top 10. I just don't see it at all. You're going to start making big jumps, and there's guys outside that top 15 that are savages as well. I think he's a good chain wrestler. I think he can put you against the cage. I think he can work for trips. We've seen different takedowns from him. We've seen judo trips. We've seen like body lock takedowns. I think one of the things that just jumps out to me with Jack Short is great like control. Whenever he's got your hands in an advantageous position, he makes good decisions where you can get to the back, he can stay heavy there, and he can really put a good body triangle on you at all. Now, if we're getting back to his striking, I think he's got a decent jab. I think he can work kicks inside and outside kicks. And his jab, to me, has definitely got better through the Cage Warriors days. Like I say, strong body triangle, relentless grappling. Once he gets there, he will work his way to get in that fight to the ground and like working into positions, but very cerebral in doing so. Will take his time, will kind of soften you up and then move to a new position. He's got great timing and takedown. You've seen that in the Nohil and Hernandez fight. But he has been taken down. Now, like I say, I've watched his fights. Go back, watch Mike Akindale fight. He got taken down. He was kind of held on a little bit there. Scott Malone fight. He got judo tripped there, got put on his back. But then he works his way. Like I say, he works into positions defensively, offensively to get back to his feet. And once he's got the control over you, I don't see many guys in this kind of range of fighters that he's facing that is going to have an advantage on him when it comes to grappling. Now, you look at Hunter Azure, wrestling background, we've seen takedowns, but we've also seen spots where he's had his back taken. Katona got him down numerous times. Cole Smith got him down, got his back numerous times. His striking, I think he's got more power than Jack Shore. I agree with that. He loops kind of big bombs, and he could, if there's going to be a knockout in this fight, a straight knockout, it's probably in the Azure side. But he wanes a little bit, and I still don't think, I think he could turn into be a really good fighter. But to me, I just think that when I look at Jack Shore, I think he's going to come through a few spots in this fight where I think he will get taken down, but I think he will find a way to reverse it and he gets into the dominant position. And when he does that, I think he will win his rounds. I can see him getting taken down in the first minute of the fight, and then him reversing position, having 3.5 minutes of control where he's winning rounds. So a good step-up fight, like the fact he's got out to Vegas super early, like 10 days beforehand, get adjusted to fighting in America for the first time in Vegas, the big city there, going to the PI, getting looked at there. I've been watching his vlogs on the run up to this fight. He looks in great condition and putting everything together as well as he can with the lockdown and everything. And he's got his own gym, which always helps. He's there all the time with his dad. So I like Jack Shore to win by decision here. I think he's grappling. I think there's an opportunity he can get a finish, obviously, in the late part of this fight because he does look for finishes. But the one thing I'm not kind of, if you go into bet MMA tips, and like you can take what you want with that, everybody seems to be on Jack Shore. And that's something I don't really like, obviously. But in other ways, I kind of think, right, are they seeing what I'm seeing? A really good talent coming through, very strong in many aspects. But I bet him at minus 125. I think he's minus 150 in some spots now. Let me just bring up the odds there. Jack Shore, minus 150. So again, nice and early there. I like him in this spot here. I think he wins via decision in that one there. Yorgan de Castro against Yaris Danho. Yaris Danho, where have you been for the last 5 years? Dude hasn't fought. He's like in his mid-30s now up at heavyweight. I don't think he was ever really that good when I watched his fights back probably years ago then when he came into the UFC, and I don't see it that much now. I think that de Castro, this is a good fight for him to get a win, get back into the win column. I think he can upset a lot of people with his kind of last loss to Carlos Felipe. He kind of let Felipe really into that fight and kind of win the fight, weasel that fight a little bit, where he probably could have went out there and won. But it's a big fight for him. He loses this one, especially to Danho. He is definitely on his way out of the UFC, in my opinion. But I just like him. I think his low kicks can stiffen up Danho a little bit. Like I said, I'm interested to see what Danho's got to offer because I'm interested to see what he's got to offer because, like I say, what's he been doing in these 5 years? Has he been getting better? I don't think it. Like the guy's only got 6 fights, 7 fights. So, and like I say, he's 37 years old. Christ almighty. And what's his fights again? Omalanchuk and then a draw with Christian Colombo, 2016. I like de Castro. I think that his kicks will kind of soften up Danho, and I think he's got an opportunity to really put it on him here. So I'm going to take Yaris Danho to get knocked out here in the first couple of rounds. I've got de Castro for the dub there. John Makdessi against Ignacio Bahamondes. I like this Bahamondes kid. Like I say, I'm interested to see some of these contender series guys come through. And I've never really been overly big on John Makdessi. And like the guy's habitual. Like since he left TriStar, he has jumped at gyms. And I've just seen that he's jumped again he went to Rufus Sport. Now he's over at the MMA Lab. The guy's obviously got good striking technique. He's got a little bit of a different kind of striking game that you'll see from a lot of guys in the UFC. But very low volume. And I think he can be hurt. And when I look at this kid here, he's coming off that win in the Contender Series, a beautiful front kick right up the middle there, put the guy down, beat Chris Brown on LFA, decent wins. But he's still, in my opinion, very kind of inexperienced, and he's getting a guy who's got a lot of UFC experience. How many fights does John Makdessi have in the UFC? He must have, I want to say 15 plus fights in the UFC. Jeez, he's been around a hell of a long time when I see this here. 2010. Shit, I had no idea he was around for nearly 11 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 20 odd fights. So the guy's got a hell of a lot of experience in the UFC. But like I say, this kid's got I think he's got a height advantage. He's got a good reach advantage. I think he's got more output. But it's a big step up for Bahamondes from what he has been facing beforehand. I just really like what I see from this kid. I think he's been doing a lot of training with Bilal Muhammad in there in Chicago. I like what I see from him. I've got him in a parlay with another guy that's coming up very, very shortly here. And I think that he's got enough here to really win this fight convincingly. I think that even if he doesn't, I think he can stop him personally. But I think he can win a comfortable decision. So I've got Ignacio Bahamondes to win that fight there. I'll take via decision. I'll take via decision in that one. Erin Blanchfield against Norma Dumont. Now, this girl, Erin Blanchfield, has been hyped up for a few years, and I think that, to be fair, I think she has a really good prospect. She's a young girl, so I think she's only like 23 years old. 1 loss on her record to Tracy Cortez. Predominantly like one of these jiu-jitsu girls. She won the Eddie Bravo Invitational where she showed some really good jits on there. So a lot of people kind of know her for that. But I think she's scrapping her feet, and I think when you look at her striking, it's definitely something that's progressing from the Leonardo fight to the Sanchez Walker fight. So she's trying to mix all together, but she's moving up to a new division at 135 on short notice as well, where I think it's a little bit too soon, but I think she's got a good opponent in Dumont who made a big stride in her game from what we've seen in her first UFC fight. to obviously their fight with Ashley Evans-Smith, where she looked great, she looked sharper. I think she missed weight in that one as well, so I was a little bit iffy with that. But going for Megan, I mean, she fought Megan Anderson, and Anderson's massive for like 145. But I think all around she's a fairly decent fighter. But I think Erin Blanchfield, I think it's hard to kind of press for dogs in this card, I'll be honest with you. I think Erin Blanchfield at plus 200, I think she's very live, but I'm thinking to myself, is it a little bit too soon, especially being on short notice? For the last year, she says she's been keeping ready for a short notice UFC call. She was supposed to fight Pearl Gonzalez for the Invicta title, for the flyweight title. I think she will be a great flyweight addition. I really do. At 135, I don't think she will stick around there, obviously, but I think this is the winnable fight for me. I'm seeing a lot of people on Erin Blanchfield this week, and she's plus 200. I know that people are going to bet. I know there's certain people on Twitter that I've already seen that are asking for lines. My man Sun Tzu, he knows Erin Blanchfield very well from the New Jersey area, and he's one of the guys that watches a lot of women's kind of MMA, and he's seen probably her entire career like I have. I'm willing to take a shot on Erin Blanchfield in this spot. I don't think I'm going to bet it, but I can also see where Norma can maybe kind of out-hustle her, just be stronger than her and kind of win a decision. But I'm going to take a shot on Erin Blanchfield here. I'm going to take a shot on her to win a close kind of back and forth fight in this one, but not super confident. But I think she's going to be a live fighter in this. I don't think she's going to sit back and get bossed up for 15 minutes in this fight. I think she's going to go at it and really give Norma Dumont a tough fight. But I lean Blanchfield, but not super confident. I'm picking it really just as a pick on here, just trying to get a good dog who I think has got a decent chance, and I think she has here. So Blanchfield for the W there. Scott Holtzman against Mateusz Gamrot. I'm on Mateusz Gamrot here. I've got him parlayed up with Bahamondes. I got them both at minus 188 for like plus 135. Got a couple of units on that there. Kind of the bread and butter of this fight is I think that Gamrot wins this fight through his grappling. I think this is going to show in this fight here. So Holtzman has been taken down many times throughout his UFC tenure. It's actually quite a hard guy to take down in some spots as well, but if you get him there, I think he will keep him there. And I think that's what Gamrot will do. Like the fact he's been American top team, he's been working with guys on this card as well, getting ready for this fight for a long time, been training with the high caliber guys. He's obviously going to garner a lot of interest coming in from where he did at KSW, where he was undefeated. He was, I think he was a double-weight world champion. Came in there against Guram Kutateladze. I actually thought, I bet him in that fight, and I thought I won that bet. But it was close enough to where you could give it to Guram, and he was fighting his heart out as well. So you can't kind of take it away from a guy that's fighting his heart like that. I edged it for Gamrot, but it is what it is. I lost money in it. I like him in this spot here. Holtzman, not a kind of younger guy around. He's kind of in that mid-30s to late 30s. I think his ceiling's kind of past him now, where he will be one of these guys that they'll maybe feed to like guys with one or two fights in the UFC, like a Gamrot or so on. But, I mean, he only loses to half-decent guys. The Lentz one, he get taken down and kind of held up there. No, like, harm losing to Beneil Dariush, who's a very, very good fighter. And then it was the Josh Emmett loss away back in 2016. So, but, I mean, you look at his wins, Horcher, McBride, Dong Young Ma, I don't even think they're with the company anymore. So, Jim Miller's obviously a good win on your record. Always will be. But for me, I've got Mateusz Gamrot here. I think his striking's not great. I think it's serviceable, though. I give that edge to Holtzman, but I think his grappling is where it's going to be won and lost here. If he can't get Holtzman's down, I think Holtzman's a very, very live dog in this spot. I know a lot of people that are on him here. There's some people questioning me on my pick of Gamrot here, and that's fine. It's just how I see the fight going. I thought it was a good parlay piece. His betting lines went up as well. I got him like minus 188 a while back. What's his odds now? Because that is a bit... like minus 230, I don't like that. I think that's high. So like plus 190 in Holtzman, like if that hits plus 200, I think it's worth a shot in Holtzman personally. For me, I just think Mateusz Gamrot gets takedowns here and has control time that kind of wins him this fight in a kind of smelly decision. So Mateusz Gamrot via decision for that one there. The aforementioned Jim Miller's up against kind of the one of the newcomers in the UFC lightweight division, and Joe Solecki. I can kind of see what the UFC are doing here. Joe Solecki to me looks a very good prospect. I don't know what his ceiling's ever going to be, but I just like the way he's kind of all put together. I love his control. I think that he's a very, very, very well put together fighter. With especially, and you get a grappler in Jim Miller here, and a guy who's got like 25 to 30 fights in the UFC. It's crazy that dude has. But you can kind of see what the UFC are doing here. I mean, you beat Austin Hubbard, that's fine. You can see there was clear gaps in his game there. The Matt Wyman one, not a great win. This is a jump up from anything he's faced from the Contender Series to the UFC. Now you've got a legit 25 to 30 fight veteran who's a great grappler, who will scrap it out with you as well. But I still think the big thing here that I don't like with Jim Miller is just the gas tank. I think he's going to fade. And I think this guy, if he gets him to the ground and gets in positions, kind of like Jack Shore, I think he can stay in control in positions for larger parts of the fight. So that's kind of where I'm leading with this one here. Now, I haven't bet him. I know he's around that price there where like minus 235. Geez, that's actually sharp. Like, I think he's a little bit lower here in the UK, but you could parlay him up. I think he can win kind of comfortably here. I think he'll come through a few spats earlier on in the fight with Jim Miller, but to me, I think he'll manage to get takedowns. He'll manage to kind of win through control. I don't think it'll be a great fight, this one. I think there is an opportunity, in my opinion, that he could possibly submit Jim Miller, but Jim Miller's a savvy vet on the ground, many submission wins himself. Had people like Joe Lowe's on his back for spots there and survived that. So I'm going to go Joe Solecki via decision, but I think he'll come through some hard spots earlier on in this fight here, but the pick's going to be Joe Solecki for the win there. A couple of guys there in the chat there, just before I get into the main card here. So, Will, do you like Mahajit Fidgelet's animations? I think they're great. I've seen them. The guy does good work. Jason C., what's up? Hope you're well. Kevin, she's 21. I put 100 in Blanchfield at plus 210. I wish you all the best, Kevin. That's not a bad bet, in my opinion, at those odds in a women's MMA fight. So I wish you all the best with that there. Main card time. Mike Perry against Daniel Rodriguez. I feel like I really want to pick Mike Perry in this spot because I like the way Daniel Rodriguez kind of predominantly fights. I like his strong left hand, got good kicks, got good body attacks. Like I said, I love that left hand. It's a very intelligent, hard-hitting left hand. But I thought he was a little bit unlucky against Alvey, but it was a close fight. In those close fights, if you're kind of close there, you're in the judges' hands, they could make that decision. Before that, a nice knockout of Dwight Grant there. He had to take some shots in that one there and came through. Decent fight with Gabe Green, back and forth brawl, and then got that big underdog win against Tim Means in Means' backyard as well. Like I say, heavy hitter with his strikes. I've always been, if you watch when Mike Perry first came into the UFC, I was like, this guy is going to get knocked out. I watched him in his fights before the UFC, and I was like, this dude can be hit, he can be knocked out, and it never really materialized, and he kind of settled into being a decent fighter in the UFC, but it's like, where is his head at now? The guy's a dad. Is he going to be coming in here with maybe a different motivation? We've seen that his grappling's got better, but his striking's kind of petered out a little bit, in my opinion. Now, you look at the guys that he's losing to. Tim Means is a multi-fight veteran in the UFC. Jeff Neal is in my opinion, a top 10 welterweight in that division. And Vicente Luque's shown he's a top 10 guy as well. So he's losing to good, solid fighters. Daniel Rodriguez, to me, is a good, solid fighter. I'm just not convinced that he's going to be a top 15 guy. I think he might reach the verges of it, but I do think he's got some parts of his game that can trouble Mike Perry. I think he is the overall better striker. You can't really dismiss the striking of Mike Perry either. He's got big power. But I'm just I watched an interview with Mike Perry's coach here, and he's like, this is going to be a different Mike Perry. I'm like, and then I'm seeing tweets of his saying that this cut to 170 is killing him. I'm just like, is his head all there? The guy's a bit of a mental head case as it is. Funny with it, though. I really want to pick Mike Perry, but I think the smart pick is just to go with Daniel Rodriguez. Don't like the number he's at. I think the line should be a little bit closer, in my opinion. So I'm going to go Daniel Rodriguez. I actually think this could be the fight where maybe Mike Perry gets knocked out. I think he could wade into a big big left hand and get put out here. So, and that might be the end of the Mike Perry kind of experiment in the UFC as well. So I'm actually going to go Daniel Rodriguez. I'm going to take him via knockout in the kind of late to maybe mid part of this fight, mid to late part of this fight. But what's Mike Perry going to come out here and do? Is he going to grapple, which he's definitely shown he's got better with? But I'm just, like I say, I feel like I wanted to take a shot with Mike Perry, but I think Rodriguez is a smarter pick there. Another fight here. 100%, it's Mackenzie Dern against Nina Ansaroff. You guys know I'm a pretty big fan of Mackenzie Dern. I think she's got a lot of upside in the UFC. And I really wanted to come into this fight and think, right, I really want to bet her. She's at dog odds. And then I sat back and watched, and I just can't do it. Like I say, if she was any part of a wrestler that could get the fight to the ground prominently, and then I would be all over this spot here. But I think that this is a bad matchup in the fact that I don't think she will get Ansaroff down. What was the stat saying? She's got like a 5% takedown accuracy getting the fight to the ground, and she kind of seems to fumble her way to the ground a little bit. You've got the Hannah Cyphers fight where Hannah just showed terrible fight IQ, jumped into the guard, got fucked up pretty much instantaneously down there, and we've seen it in other spots as well. Ansaroff, I think she's a really good counter striker. She's a good boxing. Now I do think that Mackenzie Dern, I'm looking forward to seeing more of her striking. She's with Jason Perillo. I think that you will definitely see jumps up with her hands. I think we've seen that a little bit in the Jandiroba fight. And I think she's got big power. I've said this before. She was a bit of a bigger girl where she had power ready there. And if she uncorks that right shot, I think she can hurt you. There is some things with this fight here regarding Ansaroff. She's just a newly minted mum. We've seen that with Mackenzie Dern. She came back against Amanda Hebas, and you could just tell with the opponent and the quick return, it just wasn't right. Is this right here? Ansaroff looks in great condition. She looks slim. She looks like muscular. She looks ready to go. I like Ansaroff as an overall kind of more technical striker. Just avoid the big bombs. Now, if this goes to the ground, you're gonna lean Mackenzie Dern. Like I said, I really wanted to bet Mackenzie in this spot, but I actually think the smarter play is actually betting Nina Ansaroff here, in my opinion. Because if she does not get taken down, I feel that she wins this fight pretty comfortably. So my pick's going to be Nina Ansaroff. I've got to win that one now. Sam Alvey against Julian Marquez. I'm going to go Sam Alvey. And I think I've said in my videos before, I'm never picking Sam Alvey ever again. I thought he was a little bit unlucky against Dallin Jung. Julian Marquez, I'm not really sold on him. I thought I was very close to cashing that underdog bet on Maki Pitolo last time out. I really did. I thought I was going to hit that nice dog spot. I think he was up a couple of rounds. Then he gets caught, Maki gets caught in the third round there, and Julian Marquez comes out here and he's calling out Miley Cyrus. And that's the biggest L of 2021, is him going back and forward with Miley Cyrus and then saying that stupid comment about getting Cuban Missile Crisis on our chest or on our stomach or something. Big L for Julian Marquez after initially getting her to like message him back on Twitter or mention him pretty much. Like I say, I think he's got some big power there. He's obviously got some submission chops to him. Sam Alvey, we all know what he's about. He doesn't throw a hell of a lot of volume. Gives you that funny face that he pulls every time. Like I say, very low volume. But this could be one of these very close fights here. You're going to have Marquez, who's going to come forward, look to kind of sling some shots a little bit. And Alvey's going to look to counter and catch him with his big shot. I think he's moving back down to middleweight again, so that's interesting with that one there. I'm going to, like I say, I've not looked into this one all that much. I'm going to take a little stab on Sam Alvey to win a very kind of smelly decision here. So I'm not sold on Julian Marquez all that much. So I think Sam, he is due. I feel like he's had some pretty bad spots kind of go against him. And like, oh, Jesus Christ, he's not won a fight in, 3 years? Wow. And that was against Gian Valenti, and that was a split. Like I say, I think it's going to be, you look at his last two fights, split draw, split against Ryan Spann, probably could have won that one as well. In all honesty, I thought Ryan Spann didn't look good in that fight at all. I'm going to go Sam Alvey to win a split here, and another dirty fight, but I I want no action. I want none of my money anywhere near that fight. Kyle Daukaus against Aliaskhab Khiriev, I think it's how it's pronounced. I mean, I like to try and keep up with the Russian fighters, and I kind of knew of him, but I didn't really watch him. And then obviously you seen him against Sugimoto on Dana White Contender Series, who's a guy with, I think it was he 13-0. I think it was a little bit of a blown up record, but he comes out there and runs through that guy. And then you go back and you watch his previous fights, and he's obviously got some name guys on there. When you've got a win over Husamar Palhares, that's going to shine out there. And he comes out there and absolutely nails him with a big shot, hurts him, kind of gets his Palhares really gets the leg, and you're thinking, oh no, stayed calm, came through, then he left some absolute coffin nails with his ground and pound. I like a lot of his grappling in this one. I think he can do it all. I think he's got hard power shots, great kicks. You've seen that in the fight. I think it was Truhan hits him with a kick, comes back, hits him with a vicious shot to the liver, puts him down in 30 seconds. The Inomoto fight, he really went in there, used his grappling against a guy with a lot of fights, like 25 plus fights, when he was 10-0 or something in that spot. Then you've got the Sugimoto fight, and I just seen it's 13-3 there. Went out there and smoked him, got a rear naked choke. So he can do it all here. And I've seen some people say, but he's been fighting guys with not great records there. And like, you're going to get that in some of the Russian spots. We've seen when ACA was on, I bet Tumanov, he was against that other dude, I forgot his name now. And they were both undefeated guys, I think. And Tumanov had a one loss, actually. But this guy's been fighting decent guys his last few fights, and he's looked great. Went to American Top Team. He's been doing a lot with Gamrot, I've seen there, so his grappling's legit, I think. The one big thing I'm a little bit worried about here is, why is he fighting at 185? I think he's a 170. He's undersized for this division. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. Daukaus is a dog. Like, he is a dog. The betting lines now are, I wouldn't really bet Daukaus at plus 100. I would like that higher line. I think that Khiriev opened up at like minus 200, so you could have got plus 175. That was the spot to jump on Daukaus, because, like I say, he is a live dog at that one there. I just like what I see from Khiriev. I think he could kind of shut down Daukaus here in multiple ways. I think he could take him down. Now, Daukaus is very aggressive off his back with his jiu-jitsu. I think he can be taken down easily. This guy can muscle in takedowns here. So for me, I like Khiriev. I was watching some interviews with Daukaus a little bit, and I don't want to say he was playing this guy off. I just think it's maybe the way he is as a fighter. But he likes what he sees in this fight here. I like more on this. I'm kind of interested to bet this fight on the Khiriev side, because minus 120, that might become a little bit lower. You might get close to plus money, maybe a minus 110 number. And on that, I might kind of have to take a roll on Khiriev. But like I say, if you got Daukaus at a higher number, like even plus 125 and above, I don't hate that, honestly. I don't hate that at all, because this guy's 13-0. He's not like I say, he's fought fairly decent opposition. And we've seen that Daukaus is, like I say, he's come in there, got his UFC win, fought Brandon Allen, been in some tough spots, and just fights. He's a good, tough fighter. But I like what I see out from this Russian dude. I'm going to take him to win in this one here. Co-main event time, Super Sodiq Yusuff against Almighty Arnold Allen. Two great guys at 145-pound division getting matched off here. I think it's the right time to put this fight together. I have a strong lean on the side of Sodiq Yusuff, and I love Arnold Allen. He's one of the coolest dudes around. But I think Sodiq is just better than Arnold Allen, actually, right now. I think that he's fought the better caliber position. He's taken his licks a little bit in some spots, but you cannot take away from Arnold Allen what he's did in the UFC. He's undefeated in the UFC. Came through some spots where he was close to losing fights. Alan Omer, I think, was close to probably winning that fight. And then you've got Mads Burnell. He was definitely losing that fight in Liverpool. I was like, dude, you could not stop a takedown. And Burnell's really, really good, to be fair, as well. I think he should be in the UFC, but it is what it is. Fights in Bellator. It might actually be this weekend. And got the ninja choke there and got Burnell out. His striking's really evolved, but he's a guy that's been in the UFC for 6 years, and he's, like I say, he's not fought maybe once a year, and you're fighting your Ronaldos, Gilbert Melendez, Nick Lentz. to me, this is a big jump up in talent against someone like Sodiq Yusuff, who's fought your Mowgli Benitez, took his licks and they got hit with some big shots. Andre Fili, who I think is a perennial top 15 guy around there for me. I think he will be, or he is. So I think he's fought the better caliber opposition. I think that he's got more arsenal with his strikes. I think he's got more power. I've bet Sodiq Yusuff at -125. I loved that line. I thought it was a good line, and I thought that it might stay there for a while, but now people are starting to bet it up, which I'm kind of not really surprised with. I'm seeing a lot of love for Arnold Allen as well. I think that like he can make this very relatively if it's a close fight and that they're both kind of landing significant strikes and there's nothing really too significant kind of really showing. It's maybe more on the Arnold side, maybe landing more. He can make this close. For me, I actually think Sodiq Yusuff's going to knock him out. I had that feeling when I was watching some of the fights. I think he's due a big kind of breakout moment, knockout. I feel it's going to be against Arnold Allen here, which sucks because Arnold's really a cool dude and a really good fighter himself. I think he'll learn from it and move on. So I've got Sodiq Yusuff via knockout in the second round. I just think that power and the speed will come through and he will hit him with a big shot there. So I've got Super Sodiq there. Marvin Vettori against Kevin Holland. I really, honestly, I'm not really bothered about this main event. I really liked actually the Vettori Darren Till fight, and I know Darren Till fights are a little bit meh sometimes, but I actually kind of thought that Till could give him some problems in that one. So in this one here, the one thing I'm seeing across Twitter, Reddit, some Facebook groups, lock Marvin Vettori. This is going to be easy. This is going to be that. And I'm just like, I'm not sure about that. Like, what's these odds now? Like, anything below -400, lock it in. I'm seeing guys. And I'm just like, I can see why you're saying that, like -310. But I'm just like, to me, when I look at Marvin, now he's definitely making progress, in my opinion. You can see that with the way in the fights that he's winning against top caliber guys. He's putting it all together. He's at a great camp, training with great guys, week in, week out. But the guy's still a bit of a meathead for me. Yeah, I'm just a little bit... I'm not on the Marvin Vettori hype train. I think that he took a lot from the Adesanya kind of split there where he fought tough. He will always fight tough, in my opinion. I think more well-rounded a fighter he is in this one here. I think he's got a little bit of everything, grappling, got striking. He's got some jiu-jitsu there. So I think he could mix it up. And I can see why people are like, lock him in this and lock him in that. I just want no part of this. I would actually like to see Kevin Holland rebound after that performance. Like, I cannot believe I got Derek Brunson at +150 in that fight. And I've seen some people saying it with, what's his name? Kevin Holland last time, like to lock him in as a win against Derek Brunson. I was like, dudes, the guy can't stop a takedown. We've seen that in spots. He plays too much, doesn't listen to his coaches. He's talking to Habib, who's out there, talking to Dana. If I'm Dana promoter, I'm be pissed that I put that guy in a main event and he fights like that. So this might be where, like this could be like, could you imagine if he has a performance like that, comes in here and maybe like hurts Marvin Vettori. Now Vettori is I'm like a meathead, like one of these like blockheads that eat shots, doesn't seem to get affected at all, and that could be one of these spots here where he eats a lot of shots and eventually might catch that one in the chin that maybe puts him down. So I'm rooting for Kevin Holland, even though the dude plays too much. I've never been super high on him. I think he should try and make that cut to 170 and try and win some fights down there. I'm ultimately going to pick Marvin Vettori. I'm cheering for Kevin though, but I'm seeing, like, I always like when everyone's lock it in and this and that. I always kind of like to cheer for the other dude to maybe shit in the cereal or some of these guys, but it's just hard to pick Holland after that last fight, and it's kind of easy to pick Vettori with the way he's been looking. I suppose you could put it that way. He's kind of making, his arrow's going up where Holland's is maybe going down a little bit. So I'll take Marvin Vettori, I think, to win a pretty comprehensive decision. I think he'll mix it up a little bit and win this probably 50-45, 49-46. So yeah, I'm going to go into the chat here, guys. He's not taking the vaccine. Come on, Will. Dern got this. I love Mackenzie Dern. I really do. I always have. I just think it's a bad matchup for her, personally. Holland's performance response was horrible, never beating him again. Dern via club and sub from Thomas. Habib thought not great competition early for those doubting Khiriev. Stop using that. I kind of agree with that, Daniel. I agree with that, honestly. You're just kind of fight who's put in front of you, I suppose, at that point. But you don't fight many bad guys kind of coming out of Russia either. Slightly in Sodiq, hard to be confident, in my opinion. I didn't think I was going to be confident in this spot. I thought this was a fight I was going to stay away from, but when I watched it, I was like leaning more on the edges of Sodiq Yusuff. I think I don't know what it is. I really like him in this fight, and I popped down a couple of units on him, 2.5. I think I put down him. I really like him in this spot, but yeah. What's up, Tiger Bomb MMA? Still dangerous, yeah. Always enjoy your breakdown there from Maxime. Quebec, Canada, what's up? Maxime, hope you're well. And who have we got here? Mr. Tomin Tenhasa. Easy win for Marvin. We'll end it on that. Guys, thank you very much. If you can, please throw a like on this video. Please leave a comment. Well, if you're watching this afterwards, leave a comment with some of your picks below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Oh, there's another wee comment coming there. I'll blow this up. Gets the TKO via counter. Vettori comes out fast. Wow. That would be something for the books. Guys, 46 minutes in. Thank you very much. All the best with your bets. DraftKings play. I'll be back next week for... What is the card next week, actually? Whittaker against Gastelum. I'm hyped for that fight, by the way. Until next week, guys, all the very, very best. Take care and enjoy the fights this weekend. Remember, it starts early, so don't forget about that.